The closest I ever came to dying wasn't in a convoy overseas or a firefight in the desert. It was standing at a gas pump in Virginia listening to classical music and watching the dollars roll on the screen while a birthday present for my 8-year-old sat on the passenger seat. My name is Major Michael Clark, United States Army, and the day a local cop put his boot on my neck in broad daylight, he had no idea who I was, and he definitely had no idea how many people were about to watch him do it. That morning, I'd been in the Pentagon, stuck in one of those windowless rooms where time has no meaning and the coffee is always cold, talking about cooperation between the military and law enforcement. Threat briefings, communication protocols, all the usual alphabet soup. When we wrapped up, my mind wasn't on national security, it was on traffic and my kid. Emma was turning 8. I had a pink tablet she'd been begging for wrapped in paper on the front seat, and my whole mission for the afternoon was simple. Grab gas, beat school pickup, hand her the gift in the parking lot, and watch her face light up. So there I was, in full dress blues at Pump 7 ribbons, straight shoes, shined classical music playing low on the radio, just a tired dad in a uniform watching numbers roll on the pump and thinking about cake and candles. I heard sirens somewhere behind me, but that's just background noise around D.C. What snapped my attention was how the cruiser entered the lot. Not a normal pull-in, but a hard angle across my front bumper, like they were boxing in a fleeing suspect. Doors flew open before the engine even settled. The driver, white guy, late 40s, came out with his gun already pointed at my chest. His younger partner slid out the other side with a taser in his hand, and a look that said even he didn't quite know why they'd come in that hot. "Hands where I can see them now, now, now," the sergeant yelled loud enough to make everyone at the other pumps freeze. Instinct took over. I set the nozzle back in the pump, raised my hands, fingers spread so wide my shoulders hurt. "Sergeant, my hands are up," I said, keeping my voice calm, the way the Army drills into you. "I'm Major Michael Clark, United States Army. I'm just getting gas." He didn't look at my name tape, didn't look at my rank, didn't ask a single question. "Get on the ground," he snapped. "Stop talking and do what I say." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw people pull out their phones. That glow is its own kind of siren now. A teenage girl in a hoodie at the next pump already had her phone up, hand shaking a little. The sun was hot on the back of my neck, the smell of gas was sharp. My uniform was already too warm and it hit me. I just left a meeting about cops and soldiers working together, and here I am with a gun in my face for pumping gas. Could I have argued, told him exactly who I worked with, dropped a couple of titles that would have made someone call his chief? Sure. But if you're black in America, you know the math you have to do in moments like that. When there's a weapon pointed at you and fear behind the eyes holding it, arguing about your rights is a luxury you might not live long enough to finish. So I made myself smaller on purpose. I started to kneel, slow and exaggerated, eyes on the pavement, hands still high where everybody could see them. I didn't even make it all the way down before he stepped forward and drove his boot between my shoulder blades. The concrete came up fast. My palms scraped open my cheeks, slammed into the ground, and then that boot came down on the back of my neck like he was trying to push my face through the asphalt. You hear the world differently when your face is on asphalt. I heard somebody gasp. I heard, "Oh my God." I heard the girl with the phone say, "He's in uniform, he's not doing anything." I also heard the sergeant drop a racial slur into whatever he was shouting, lazy and ugly, and something hot went up my spine. Half of me wanted to twist and end it right there. The other half started doing the math. Weight on my neck where the taser was, how close my hand was to my pocket where my ID sat, how fast this could turn into, he went for my weapon in some report. I've spent my whole adult life teaching people how to react in a crisis, and right there on the pavement, I was teaching myself not to move. "Sergeant," I said, voice muffled in the grit. "My identification is in my wallet, front left pocket. Military ID, Pentagon access, you can confirm who I am." He pressed his boot down a little harder. "Real soldiers don't look like you," he muttered. He didn't need to finish that sentence for me to know exactly what he meant. That's when my angel in a floral blouse showed up. An older white woman from the next pump stepped out from behind her SUV with her phone up and her jaw set like she was done pretending she didn't see it. "You stop that right now," she shouted, voice shaking but loud. "That man is in uniform. You show some respect." The sergeant swung his gun toward her for a second, barking at her to step back, calling it police business. She didn't move. "Beating up soldiers is police business now," she shot back. One line, but it shifted the whole lot. People stopped whispering and started talking. Somebody yelled they were calling the news. The crowd went from random bystanders to something that felt a lot more like a room full of witnesses. My pump beeped that my tank was full. Classical music was still drifting out of my cracked car door. The pink present was still sitting on the front seat. For a second, I remember thinking this might be how my daughter's birthday ends, with a call to her school that her dad died at a gas station. Then I heard the girl with the phone again, closer now. "Sir, what's your name?" she called. "I'm live right now, people are watching." In that second, I realized if I stayed just suspect in his mouth, I could disappear into whatever story he wanted to write. So I turned my head as far as his boot would let me and spoke straight into that little camera. "My name is Major Michael Clark." I said United States Army Intelligence. I didn't yell, it didn't puff my chest. I just said it like a fact. But you could feel the air change. Someone near the door said, "Did he say intelligence?" Another voice, "Oh, you messed up now." Even his younger partner looked down at the rank on my shoulder like he was seeing it for the first time. The sergeant tried to act like it meant nothing, still calling me suspect, still muttering about people pretending, but his radio started crackling with questions from dispatch he couldn't shout over anymore. And here's the twist most people don't see coming. While I was staring at oil stains on the ground, that shaky little live stream had already jumped the fence. It hit group chats on base, landed on the phone of an officer who recognized my face and ran it straight into his commander's office. Software in a federal building flagged Army major and police in the same clip, and an agent on her lunch break clicked it open, saw the boot on my neck, saw the rank on my shoulder, heard me say Pentagon, and started making calls that move a lot faster than patrol cars. People in suits were suddenly asking why their intelligence liaison wasn't in the secure meeting he was supposed to be sitting in. My name was on screens in rooms that Sergeant had never heard of, and my location was gas station off the highway under a boot. Back at Pump 7, I just knew my phone in my pocket wouldn't stop buzzing, and the clock in my head was screaming that I was late for school pickup. The younger officer's phone buzzed too. He glanced at it, and I watched the color drain from his face. Later, I'd hear his wife had texted, "You're on the news. What did you do?" The sergeant kept his boot on my neck and his mouth on the word suspect. But when thousands of strangers are watching, you kneel on a decorated soldier in full dress uniform. That word doesn't land like it used to. Then I heard a different kind of siren, lower, heavier. Black SUVs rolled into the lot, not cruisers. Men and women stepped out in jackets with 3 big letters on the back, and the whole place went quiet. One of them walked straight up, flashed a badge, and said in a voice that didn't need to be loud, "Get your foot off him, now." And just like that, the man who'd been barking orders at me moved his boot. Air rushed back into my lungs. I pushed myself up to my knees, brushing concrete dust off a uniform that suddenly felt more fragile than powerful. "Major Clark," she asked, already knowing the answer. "Yes, ma'am." I said I'm all right. My daughter's waiting at school. She looked around at the sea of phones and said, "We'll get your statement after you see your little girl." Then in front of every camera and every live stream, she turned to those officers and told them they were now the subjects of a federal civil rights investigation for assaulting a member of the armed forces. In a matter of minutes, the story had flipped. I wish I could tell you the hard part was over then. It wasn't. That night, the clip from Pump 7 played on loop, slowed down, and argued over by people who had never had a gun in their face for buying gas. Our quiet street was lined with news vans. Inside, my wife watched me pace the living room like I was still on patrol, and my daughter sat on the couch with her backpack still on, staring at a blurred version of her dad on TV. "Daddy," she asked, "why did they do that if you didn't do anything?" There's no manual for that question. I told her sometimes people see skin before they see a person, sometimes fear and hate get the wheel, and when that happens, other people have to stand up and say that's wrong. Then she asked, "Are they going to do that to other daddies too?" And I heard myself say, "Not if I can help it," knowing I had just made a promise bigger than any rank or law. The months after that were all suits, uniforms, microphones, and sworn statements. I sat in rooms under bright lights while people with flags on their lapels asked me to walk them through every second of that day. I told them how I identified myself, how I complied, how my face still hit the pavement. Investigators dug into the sergeant's record and pulled out complaints from other service members that had gone nowhere. Eventually, we ended up in a federal courtroom. The teenage girl from the next pump told a jury why she went live and why she kept filming when her hands shook. The older woman in the floral blouse explained that stepping in wasn't about politics. It was about not being able to watch a soldier treated that way in the country she was raised to respect. The younger officer admitted he knew it was wrong and stayed quiet because he was afraid to cross his partner. Hearing him say I was a coward in open court hurt in a way the bruises never did, but it mattered. A jury found the sergeant guilty of violating my civil rights and assaulting a federal employee. He traded his badge for a number. His partner got probation and a lifetime reminder of where silence leads. Out of that mess came changes that went beyond me. Policies were tightened. Departments that didn't train their officers on dealing with service members the right way started losing money. That video of me on the ground ended up in academy classrooms as a never-do-this slide. The Pentagon asked me to help build training where cops and soldiers sit in the same room and talk like human beings instead of headlines. Now I stand in front of young officers and show them two images: my face in the pavement and my daughter waiting at the school door with her birthday gift in her arms. And I ask who they want to be responsible to when the pressure hits. And I'm honest with them. A big reason any of this got attention is because I was in uniform with my name in government systems. A lot of people who are treated like I was don't have medals or clearances. They're just names in a report and a shaky clip you scroll past. There's a small plaque now by Pump 7. People leave coins or patches there sometimes. I drive by once in a while. I don't always stop. I don't want that strip of concrete to own my whole story. To Emma, I'm mostly just the guy who burns pancakes on Saturdays, and that feels like its own kind of justice. But there's a question that still sits with me, and I want to leave it with you. If I hadn't been in uniform that day, no dress blues, no ribbons, just jeans and a hoodie, do you honestly believe this would have turned into federal charges, new rules, training programs, and plaques? Or would it have been just another clip you watched for 10 seconds, said, "Man, that's messed up," and then forgot? What do you think was really being protected in my case, the person, the uniform, or the image of what we like to believe our country is? Tell me in the comments what you truly think. Did the system only wake up because it was a soldier this time? Have you seen something like this where you live, and what did you do when it was your turn to choose between looking away and stepping in? Share your stories, push back if you need to, because that conversation matters. And if my story hit you at all, hit like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so we can keep talking about the hard stuff, because nothing changes if we all stay quiet and look away.